All right, you guys, welcome to episode number 5. I've actually been really enjoying doing these live episodes, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching them. Today, we have a couple of things planned for you guys. First off, we are discussing the newest images released by the FBI in the case of Nancy Guthrie. Of course, she is the mother of the Today Show host Savannah Guthrie, who's been missing for about, I think, 10 days now. 10 days she has been missing, and we still don't really have any leads. The FBI has released a series of images, which I will show you in just a couple of moments here. We also have this explosive interview from CNN in which CNN's Caitlin Collins interviewed Thomas Massey, a Republican from Kentucky, who was one of the co-authors and sponsors of the bill that got the Epstein files released. It's about a 10-minute interview, so if you guys can sit with me and watch that interview, I think you'll learn a lot from that. Also, the Senate Democratic leader, the Senate Minority Leader, Chuck Schumer, has introduced a bill called Virginia's Law, which I will give you guys more information about. And Chapel Roan, the beloved singer who has gone viral for a bunch of different things, has left her talent agency after the CEO and founder is actually involved in the Epstein files. We'll give you more of that soon. But first, I want to show you guys these images released from the FBI today. As you can see on your screen, these are 2 images. There's a couple of other images that were released today. These are taken from I think a doorbell camera outside of Nancy Guthrie's house the morning she was kidnapped. It shows a person of interest who was knocking on her door and then breaking the doorbell camera. And so I want to show you guys, yes, you can see the images on your screen there. I want to show you guys this video that was released yesterday, just after I got off the air, from Nancy as a last-minute plea, a Hail Mary, as some analysts have called it. Take a look at this video.
Hi there, everybody. I wanted to come on and just share a few thoughts as we enter into another week of this nightmare. I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for all of the prayers and the love that we have felt, my sister and brother and I, and that our mom has felt. Because we believe that somehow, some way, she is feeling these prayers and that God is lifting her even in this moment and in this darkest place. We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help. Law enforcement is working tirelessly around the clock trying to bring her home, trying to find her. She was taken and we don't know where. And we need your help. So I'm coming on just to ask you, not just for your prayers, but no matter where you are, even if you're far from Tucson, if you see anything, if you hear anything, if there's anything at all that seems strange to you, that you report to law enforcement. We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
All right, so as you can see on the screen, those are 2 images released by the FBI today in their investigation into Nancy Guthrie. These were taken outside of the 84-year-old's home today. The day that she was allegedly abducted or kidnapped. And so we have those images right there on the screen. If you know anything, please, please, please call the FBI tip line. It is 1-800-CALL-FBI. If you can, please just do that if you know anything. This is just it's an awful situation to be going through right now, and I'm praying again for the Guthrie family, Savannah, her siblings, and of course, Nancy herself. I wanted to pivot for you guys this new explosive interview with CNN. Thomas Massey, he is a Republican from Kentucky. He is a representative in the House of Representatives, and he gave this interview. This is about a 10-minute video, so it is it's pretty long, but I think it's important for the context of what we're looking into, that you guys watch this video. This was aired yesterday, and it talks about the redacted files that Mr. Massey saw when he was looking through the files. They were redacted publicly, but he was granted access, among other representatives, and Congress as a whole was granted access to these documents. I will show you guys that video right now.
One Republican who saw those unredacted files today is one of the lawmakers who actually wrote the law forcing their release ultimately. Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massey is my next source here tonight. And thank you, sir, for being here. That was Jamie Raskin and Jared Moskowitz's takeaway. Obviously, we already knew Trump's name was mentioned in the files. You can see that publicly. What was your takeaway from what you saw behind there?
Well, Jared is right. There are co-conspirators named in these files that have been redacted. And so I was surprised to find the names of 6 men in there. One is a sultan. He may not be a co-conspirator, but he's the one who sent the torture video. Another is a high-profile CEO, retired, who was listed as a co-conspirator, literally listed as a co-conspirator on FBI documents, and he had been redacted, and his picture and his name. And then there were 4 men that are kind of in a list of 20 that includes Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein and some victims, and I was able to find those 4 names. So 6 names in there. I'm asking the DOJ to unredact.
So you had said that on Twitter. Todd Blanche, who's the Deputy Attorney General on the Sultan part, responded tonight and said, he quote tweeted you and said, you looked at the document, you know it's an email address that was redacted. The law requires redactions for personally identifiable information, including an email address. And he said the Sultan's name is available unredacted in the files. He says, be honest and stop grandstanding.
No, they redacted the email. Now, it may be a mistake on their part, or maybe they didn't intend to redact the Sultan's involvement in this torture video, but it is the Sultan's email. And then I put the Sultan's email back into their computer and found the Sultan's name. This is something you can't do at home. You can't do on the internet. And so I had to go in there and find it. This is an example of something, maybe it wasn't intentional on their part. I'd like to hear his take on the redaction of the CEO, who's listed as a co-conspirator in the 2019 child sex trafficking case.
So can I ask you, because, and I want to ask if this is the same person, Todd Blanche also said about that tonight that the document you're citing there has victim names in it.
Correct.
Seeming to say that's why there are redactions. He said, we have just unredacted Les Wexner's name from this document, but his name already appears in the file thousands of other times. And he says the Justice Department is hiding nothing. Is that the retired CEO that you're referencing?
It is. He unredacted it after I found it. That's a problem. And I'm glad they've admitted they made a mistake by redacting that.
So you're saying it was redacted when you went in there today, and after you tweeted that, they unredacted it?
Correct. Now he's got 4 other names he needs to unredact. Did he respond to that? There's a list of 20 people. And there's 4 men in there that need to be unredacted. Here's another troubling thing that I found.
Can you say who those 4 men are tonight?
I don't think they're well known. And so if I did, it wouldn't matter, but I could probably say them on the floor of the House. But I'll give the DOJ a chance to do what they did in these 2 examples, where I've discovered something and now they've responded. I want to give them a chance to respond and unredact those 4 names. But here's another problem, big problem that I discovered. There's big black screens of complete redactions. And you go in there and look on the computer, sometimes you lift off the black ink and there's white ink redacting files. And so when we asked the people in the room who weren't responsible for the redactions, they said, oh, we think those are how the files were given to us. Now, those are 302 forms that come from the FBI. And the FBI...
Which are witness interview.
Correct.
Forms,
witness
basically.
interview forms, which would have the names of people who are implicated in crimes by the witnesses and the victims. We can't see those. Now, the DOJ can say, well, this is how the FBI gave those to us. Here's the problem with it. The legislation that Ro Khanna and I wrote makes the DOJ responsible for producing the documents, but it compels the FBI and U.S. Attorney Generals to turn over those documents. So they don't have the authority to just make random redactions. Here's another problem with the redactions. You know, the DOJ put up files and then they pulled them back down. And in December, they pulled them back down, redacted a little more and put them back up in some cases. Well, in this latest tranche, they pulled files down. They haven't put them back up. And when I go over to the computers, I can't see the files they've pulled down. I have hard copies from where they were up on the internet.
But they're not even available internally to
Correct.
you, from what you can see.
As far as I can tell.
And you don't know why that is?
I have no idea why that is. And I would hope that when I go back to the DOJ tomorrow, they'll make those files available.
You mentioned that you may be able to say these names on the House floor. For people who don't know, that's because you're protected by a clause, basically, that provides immunity to representatives and senators for things that you say in your legislative sphere for those actions. Are you willing to say those names on the floor?
Oh, absolutely I am.
When?
If that will serve the survivors. If the survivors want me to, I'll do it. But in the meantime, this is the kind of progress we need to make. We need the DOJ to admit that these men were listed as co-conspirators in their own files and then to release their own files, which it looks like Todd Blanche just did tonight. He admitted that, and this is a very significant admission on his part, because you have the FBI director, Kash Patel, who came to Congress and told us there was nothing in these files that implicates any other men in sex trafficking of minors. Yet we've got a document now that Todd Blanche just unredacted tonight because I found it, that shows that Lex Wexner was a co-conspirator, according to the FBI, in 2019 when Trump was president.
And he's the former CEO of Victoria's Secret.
Correct.
That was known to have been in Epstein's circle. Can that moment when Kash Patel testified previously, he said they uncovered no credible information about Epstein trafficking underage girls to anyone besides himself. I want to play that moment of what he testified.
Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
I'm asking you, in that stuff, there's nothing that's related to any other sex traffic, any other people engaged with Epstein in underage sex.
That's correct. To my knowledge, no.
Given what you saw today, does that testimony ring true to you still?
No, the FBI's own documents from 2019 list Leslie Wexner as a co-conspirator in a child sex trafficking case. So, you know, they've got some explaining to do.
Does that mean you think Kash Patel perjured himself?
You know, I thought when he said that, maybe the trick he's using in his mind is that, well, he's considering it prostitution, and maybe what they have is evidence of sex trafficking of people who weren't minors. But what we see tonight is the charge that Lex Wexner was a co-conspirator to was child sex trafficking, and it's on the FBI's own documents from 2019.
So you're saying that should be investigated, basically?
Should absolutely be investigated. The other problem with what Kash Patel said there is we've got, I believe his name's Leon Black, is implicated in these files too, as somebody that, and these are the attorneys at DOJ and in the New York courts who were referencing a case on Black to the DOJ. They say that Epstein trafficked women to Leon Black.
The Justice Department previously said, we did not redact any names of men, only female victims. You're saying you saw men's names redacted today, though.
I did. I saw 4 in a list of 20. The other people on the list were Maxwell, Epstein, and mostly survivors that I recognized. And then 4 men who weren't trafficked because their date of birth predates 1970. Like they were all born in the 60s.
And you see no reason why those men's names are redacted in these files?
No, unless they were in some random lineup. But this requires the DOJ to respond to it, just like they responded to my 2 tweets tonight about the Sultan, who had heretofore not been known, and about Lex Wessner, who is in the files listed as a co-conspirator on the file that they unredacted tonight.
And you're going back tomorrow to view more documents, is that correct?
You know, if I can just look at 40 documents and find 6 men, I'm going to go back and look at more of these millions of documents.
Congressman Thomas Massie, please keep us updated on what you see.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, so we have that explosive interview. Honestly, there was a lot to take away from that interview. When I first saw it last night, I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on here. Because we have a almost negligent, almost incompetent FBI and DOJ redacting documents that state co-conspirators in these Epstein files. And it's honestly insane to watch, just because the fact that these people, these men, these disgusting pigs are able to get away with this is crazy. It's insane to me. Honestly, I'm at a loss for words. I don't believe that there was honestly, I don't know what to believe. I think that it was gross. I think that it was negligent of the FBI director, Kash Patel, to stand in front of Congress, basically, to plead in Congress that there was no other co-conspirators, than it was just Jeffrey Epstein. When you have a representative who is on the same party lines as this representative here, you have a same person, Thomas Massie, saying that actually Director Patel actually is basically wrong. He's perjuring himself because he has this evidence that there was more than one person that Jeffrey Epstein was trafficking to. It's honestly, it's insane, and not a lot of media is covering this. Of course, they are covering against Jeffrey Epstein, or for Jeffrey Epstein. And it's weird. It's very, very weird. I wanted to show you guys this new law that was passed, but first, let me show you guys this. Chappell Roan, she won a Grammy for Best New Artist last year in 2024. Well, it was in 2025, but her Grammy nomination was for 2024, and she won her Best New Artist nomination. She has left her talent agency. Her talent agency founder and CEO, Casey Wasserman, was actually implicated in the Epstein files, actually. He had sent flirtatious emails to Ghislaine Maxwell. As we know, she has been convicted of sex trafficking of minors, and he sent an email to her, or many emails. I don't exactly know exactly how many or what the emails entailed, but he has been implicated in the Epstein files. And so Chappell Roan, who is a person of that agency, a talent of that agency, has left, actually, in that scandal. And so we see here the fallout of these Epstein files. We know that many people were involved. Trump himself, Bill Clinton, and then, of course, trickling down to CEOs of major media and music organizations, including Casey Wasserman. And so it's honestly, yeah, it's Chappell Roan, of course, left that organization. She issued a statement on her Instagram, which was retweeted on Twitter all over, and it was just a very, very, it was a scandal almost, if you could call it. But I wanted to show you guys this new law that's been passed, or not passed. It's been introduced, I should say, into the Congress, into the Senate specifically, from Chuck Schumer, the Democratic minority leader of the Senate. He, along with a Democrat, introduced this sort of law. It's called Virginia's Law, That is in reference, of course, to Virginia Giuffre, who died by suicide in April of 2025. She was a known victim of Jeffrey Epstein. She wrote about it in her memoir, Nobody's Girl. And so I wanted to show you guys this statement from Chuck Schumer in this new law that has been introduced. He writes, "For years, survivors of Epstein's abuse were ignored, they were doubted, they were silenced, they were dismissed. And even when the truth finally came out, even when the world finally listened, too many survivors were still told by the law it's too late. Virginia's law changes that. It allows survivors to seek accountability when they're ready, when they're strong enough, supported, able to face the weight of civil litigation. Sometimes it takes years to recuperate from the harm that occurred," he added. "Our law makes clear that abusers and those that enable them cannot escape responsibility by running out the clock. It makes clear that the law will empower survivors to pursue justice, and it recognizes sometimes have something survivors have always known: time does not erase harm." So, this law introduced by Senator Chuck Schumer basically says that there is no statute of limitations on sex abuse, sex harassment, which of course Jeffrey Epstein was accused and convicted of. And so it allows survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific abuse to come forward without any time limit when they are ready, when they feel that they are at peace, or not at peace, just able to come forward. And so that is kind of what this new law has introduced. I also wanted to talk to you guys about a breaking story that came out of Washington D.C. yesterday, where a high school one person was injured in a high school shooting right outside of Washington, D.C. in Maryland. I don't have any new information on that, but I will continue to keep you guys updated on this and any new information that comes out of these Epstein files, as well as any new information that comes out of the Savannah Guthrie case. If you or anybody that you know has any information on Nancy Guthrie, please call 1-800-CALL-FBI. Again, that is 1-800-CALL-FBI. This is just an awful case, of course, that we have been monitoring for about 10 days now since Nancy Guthrie was reported missing. I will continue to keep you guys updated. Thank you for joining my show today, and I will see you guys tomorrow.